Welcome, everyone. It's Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It's January 1st, 2020. A new year, a new decade. The show, as always, presented by the Marijuana Times, marijuanatimes.org. You can find us there. A lot of great articles and more. If you click the video tab there, you can find this show as well. You can also find us on YouTube. Almost 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thanks to all of you who subscribe on there. Search the Marijuana Times on YouTube. Today, we're talking about predictions for the cannabis industry in 2020 from the Marijuana Policy Project. Also, we'll look at the first day of sales of adult use marijuana in Illinois. And Tucker Carlson has some words for John Boehner about his relatively newfound embrace of cannabis. All of that is coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com. And their organic, all-natural pesticides grow safe and poison-free with Natureside. Awesome sponsor of the show. They'll help you not use harmful, awful chemicals on what you are growing, whether it's cannabis or anything else. Nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Thank you, Natureside, for your continued awesomeness. Over 2 years now, sponsor of the show. Go check them out. This first story by yours truly at marijuanatimes.org. Predictions for the cannabis industry in 2020. I got a chance to talk with Don Murphy, who's Director of Federal Policies at the Marijuana Policy Project. If you want to see all of these predictions, of course, click the link in the description of this video or visit marijuanatimes.org to find the article. He said, call me optimistic, but even if half of this comes true, it will be a very happy new year. On the state legislative front, Don said he expects victories for adult use legalization in New York, Connecticut, New Mexico, and Delaware. He also expects Vermont's legislature to legalize and regulate adult use sales, and 3 southern states could legalize medical cannabis: Kentucky, Alabama, and South Carolina. On the federal level, as far as Congress goes, he said after failing to garner enough support from either party for an up or down vote, the Safe Banking Act will be buried in a must-pass bill, which will be signed by the president with little fanfare. The cannabis industry, bankers, realtors, and insurance concerns will celebrate. Drug policy and criminal justice advocates will not. Now that marijuana legalization is going to the ballot in New Jersey, expects it to pass there. He also has a lot of predictions for the campaigns of 2020. He says, assuming the Democratic Party nominates Joe Biden, President Trump will exploit his criminal justice record by advocating for or perhaps issuing an executive order regarding drug policy reform. He said, expect an executive branch policy change regarding veterans' access and research if the Congress fails to act before the August recess. He also said, in anticipation of the 2024 presidential election, both Republican and Democrat hopefuls will begin incorporating drug policy reform into their talking points. There's more, as I said, if you want to go check it out at marijuanatimes.org. We'll see how many predictions come true. As he said, hopefully, I mean, if even half of that is right, it's going to be a great year for marijuana policy reform. Let's see what happens in places like Florida and other states that are going to attempt legalization. It's going to be a long year, and it's going to be dominated, obviously, by the circus that is the Trump impeachment / Trump reelection campaign versus / Democrat who was nominated, etc., and so on. If you're not a political junkie, it's going to be a long year, and I'm not really. I mean, I will know and pay attention to what I need to know and pay attention to. I'm not going to be sitting there looking over, oh, Trump did this and the Democrats did this. And no, it's too much. It's too much. I have a life, contrary to popular belief. I have other things to do than follow the battle between Trump and the Democrats. Anyway, speaking of great news, the beginning of the new year, adult use sales in Illinois, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. There's going to be a lot of long lines, shortages, high prices, stuff like that. I saw a copy of a receipt today on Twitter. Very high prices, very high taxes, and very long lines. This video comes to us courtesy of CBS 2 in Chicago, taking a look, the first day of sales for recreational marijuana in the state.
People got up early and waited in long lines to be among the first to purchase. Some waited for more than 10 hours. And hashtag Illinois Cannabis has been a top trending hashtag in Chicago all day. #1 most of the day. Take a look at some of the posts here. John wrote, in Oak Park by 9:30, the line into the dispensary was doubled back on itself. And Debbie posted long lines in Mundelein. Chicago Vince writing this, 2-hour wait in line to get something to help me with anxiety of standing in lines. Maybe I'll wait till the weekend. Eventually, those lines will die down. CBS 2's Lauren Victory is live with a look at what happens after today. Lauren.
Erica, these people are some of the last lucky few that will make it inside tonight, at least at this location in South Shore. We know that Mission Dispensary South Shore stopped new people from lining up about 2 hours ago. They hope to wrap up sales by 7 o'clock, even though the state allows dispensaries to stay open until 10. Workers need to take a big breath and do it all over again tomorrow. Adrenaline kept workers going at Mission Dispensary South Shore. After their 3:15 a.m. wake-up, another alarm bell went off.
For a second there, you thought it was just you guys.
Yeah.
General Manager Rick Armstrong says recreational pot sales were delayed because of a glitch in state-issued software.
We were a little bit scared because we was like, oh my gosh, like it's only us. But then we realized that it was other dispensaries as well.
The snag also reported at the Herbal Care Center in the Illinois Medical District. The issue was quickly resolved, adding only a few minutes to a years-long wait.
Now we've got it so that it's regulated. It's very clean. It's perfectly clean, so nobody has to worry about products from the street. So it's a really good thing.
Well, I mean, look, I get the sentiment behind that, but perfectly clean, there's going to be problems. There's going to be problems even with legal marijuana. There's going to be things that slip through the regulatory system. There's going to be lackadaisical enforcement in various areas. You can't assume just because it's in a store, it's perfectly fine. I mean, there's a good possibility of that, and it's much more of a possibility than something you bought from some dude on the corner. But this notion that the government is going to perfectly roll this out and everything's going to be great and the regulations are going to stop everything is not the way the world works. And regulation is not the goal. The goal is people buying marijuana without going to jail. I don't care about regulation. I don't care if it's industry standards or, well, I would rather industry standards than government mandated standards because, well, the incentives are different and the enforcement is different. And with industry standards, as I've said before, there is some incentive and some consequences to be faced by the lessening of those standards in the eyes of other people. If you're a government official and you're bad at regulation or bad at your job, you're going to keep your job, more than likely. But anyway, he's right. I mean, as far as it goes in comparison to the black market, but in comparison to, it being perfectly clean and the government's checked everything, everything's fine, guys. Don't rely on that. Do your due diligence. Do your research, figure out what you're doing, and that's it. Continuing with what happened in Illinois today.
So is the revenue the state is raking in. At EarthMed in Addison, one joint cost $20 because of a 25% tax. Customers waited hours to get inside anyway.
This is emotional for me. Cannabis changed my life. It gave me purpose.
In North Aurora, big crowds meant lots of cars. Traffic was a mess. Will it all calm down after the hype to be a part of history fades? That's not the prediction back on the south side.
We're very close to the border of Indiana. We have a lot of people that I know have been so excited. They've been coming this whole week asking and just inquiring. So we anticipate to be busy.
This dispensary alone served more than 500 customers today. It was their biggest day of sales ever. We were curious how many purchases were made across the state, but a spokesperson told us they'll give us that number tomorrow. I'm Lauren Victor reporting live in the South Shore community, CBS 2 News.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. There are 46 places in Illinois where you can buy pot, including 10 locations in Chicago. To find the closest one to you, just head over to our website, cbschicago.com. There you can check out an interactive map showing all the dispensaries.
Isn't that amazing? cbschicago.com will give you an interactive map of where you can go buy cannabis. It's a crazy, crazy time. By the way, Lauren Victory, if she ever decided to go into wrestling, she could just keep that name. That's a great wrestling name. Lauren Victory. It's a nice story. from marijuanamoment.net. Tucker Carlson calls John Boehner a pig for his disgusting marijuana work. Such hyperbole. Just so dramatic. Anyway, Tucker Carlson thinks former House Speaker John Boehner is disgusting for being a marijuana lobbyist. In an interview with conservative media outlet on Saturday, the Fox News host blasted Boehner for transitioning from the top lawmaker in Congress to, in the TV talker's view, making bank at the expense of America's children. John Boehner is like a marijuana lobbyist now, right? Waking up every morning, taking a paycheck, getting your kids to smoke more weed? What? Is that what John Boehner gets paid for? I don't think it's quite. And it's such a stupid fear-mongering point, getting your children to smoke more weed. Legalization is going to keep weed as much as possible away from your children. Drug dealers don't check ID. I don't get what's so hard to understand about this. Your kids can get marijuana. When I was 17, I could buy marijuana all over the place. I did it all the time. And so can every other 17-year-old in this country. They can buy marijuana. Unless they live on a farm 50 miles from the nearest person and they don't grow their own, that's the only way you can keep them away from marijuana. It's such a stupid, dramatic, fear-mongering load of crap to say he's taking a paycheck to get your kids to smoke more weed. No. In fact, regulation and legalization specifically states in all states that 21 is the age where you can purchase marijuana, unless you're in the medical marijuana program or whatever, and that covers children. It's just a dumb point. He continues with the dumbness. Why isn't John Boehner considered disgusting? I consider John Boehner disgusting. Why don't most Republicans think that? You go from being Speaker of the House to being a weed lobbyist, and nobody says anything like that's totally normal. Really, John Boehner? Are you making America better, pig? No, you're not, Carlson said on Breitbart's Sirius XM radio show. You're making it much, much worse. Ask anyone with teenage children what John Boehner is doing for America. I'm serious. It's disgusting. Well, to that point, you can ask, I would imagine if you ask most parents in this country what substance they would rather their children experiment with, marijuana is going to be at the top of the list, above all others. So ask anyone with teenage children what John Boehner is doing for America. That's just a line. He knows nobody's going to ask anybody. He does something for just to churn the media mill and the Twitter morons, and Twitter's so full of morons, holy crap. And he just feeds this certain segment, and there'll be people out there parroting, well, ask anyone with teenage children. They'll tell you that John Boehner's a disgusting pig. No, they won't. I bet you'd be hard-pressed to find a person who would say that. They may say it for other reasons, but not for this. And we've addressed the thing about, John Boehner being late to the party and all that. Yeah, I understand. If you don't want to buy from Acreage Holdings or support them in any way, absolutely. That's your prerogative. If you want to buy from somewhere, see if they're owned by Acreage Holdings, if they're connected in any way to Acreage Holdings, which John Boehner is a member of the board, then don't buy from them. And would I have rather have him come to this conclusion back when he was Speaker of the House when he could have done something about it? Of course. This would have gone much easier if Speaker John Boehner in 2011 would say, hey, I'm for marijuana legalization. Let's talk about this. It would accelerate the process greatly. But I'm not going to say that if you've ever been against marijuana, you can't come over to our side, because you can. For 20 years, I believe, almost 20 years, I was the dare kid that believed that marijuana led to lung cancer, dead brain cells, other harder drugs, and the gutter, and destitution and death. And then I realized that wasn't true, as most people do. And most people in this country started in that place where they thought marijuana was a bad, evil thing. And now many of them have come to the other side in various lengths of time. I was way ahead of John Boehner. There were people that were ahead of me. That's the way it is. And to the final argument where people say that he's only doing it for money, a former Speaker of the House, there's a million ways for him to make money. Through corporate jobs, corporate speeches. Just, have you ever noticed the people who leave Congress? They're all millionaires. They have no problem making money. So I don't think he went to marijuana just for the money. I may be wrong, but I think there was any number of places he could have went. If he really didn't believe, or he really hasn't changed his mind or evolved his position on marijuana, then why go to marijuana? He could work for a law firm. He could work for some corporation as an advisor and make millions a year. They do it all the time. But he decided on marijuana. And whatever you want to say about him, he's out there advocating for a lessening of prohibition. And as I've said many times before, we're all on this bus. Wherever you jumped on, that's great. Jump on. Let's go. I don't care what you think about marijuana. I don't care if you hated it. If you've changed your mind, come on. Let's go. This is it. Now, would I buy from Acreage Holdings? I might not. And again, it would have been much better if John Boehner had made this evolution much sooner. But that could be said about a lot of people. And as far as Tucker Carlson, his stupidity, I don't get that either. Tucker Carlson always struck me as a conservative with kind of a libertarian streak. He's very anti-war and things of that nature. But boy, he hates marijuana. I don't know if a marijuana bale fell on his paw when he was a kid. I don't know why that is. People have their own quirks, and they have their own angle of things, and he feeds a certain section of the media consumer market. A much bigger one than I do, but I'm trying. I'm here 5 days a week. Cannabis news, 5 days a week. Brought to you by the Marijuana Times, of course. Thank you to Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thanks to all of you who like and share and comment on these videos and spread the truth about cannabis with this show. Please continue to do so. Thank you for watching and listening today, and we'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.